Here in Columbia, well, it's been buzzing loudly all weekend.
Passion of the crowd in Williams-Brice Stadium is second to none.
And the raid breaks out in Columbia.
It is good!
Gamecock fans, welcome home.
See how it goes, but we'll be ready to go.
It's time to root.
Let's go, Carolina!
It's gone! Touchdown! What a hit! He baked it in! Can you believe it? Gamecocks have won this game!
Here are your hosts, J.C. Sherber.
Oh, watch him celebrate now!
Phil Molinex.
My wife doesn't like hanging around losers.
And Jamie Bradford.
I'm going to tell him, you look like you joined Duck Dynasty.
All right, greetings and good morning. Welcome home and welcome aboard. Inside the Gamecocks, the show live from the Sinorama Studios and built by the Barndo Co., the Barndominium Co., where you can build your dream home for as low as $160 per square foot. If you live in the Carolinas, if you live in Georgia, or if you live in Tennessee. By the way, if you're coming to the pregame party in Charlotte next Saturday, which is from 2:30 to 6:30. If you weren't aware of that and you bought a ticket, you will have a chance to meet Alicia Fields. And Alicia is your go-to gal here in the Palmetto State. And if you live outside of the Palmetto State and you're looking to do something, she can point you in the direction you need to be going in order to get what you want to get done with the Barndominium Co. So check out the barndominiumco.com and prepare yourself before you meet Alicia at our tailgate next Saturday. JB and Phil, no JC today. He is got some business stuff to do in Columbia before he heads back to Chicago, but he'll be rejoining us tomorrow, and we certainly look forward to that. We also, though, do get Brad Crawford again today. He'll be on at noon with 24/7 Sports, and we will certainly rehash what Shane Beamer had to say in his first preseason or first midweek press conference of the year. Let's put it that way. Tonight, there will be a Carolina Calls at 6 p.m. from Backstreet's Grill. So if you're in the Midlands and you want to get over there and catch Coach and maybe listen to a couple of wanky phone calls, you can do that. I'll be honest with you, Phil. I can't believe that it's 2023 and we're still taking phone calls on Coach's shows with all the other options you have, but they are.
Yeah, some habits die hard, but hey, I love it. If you don't, and here's another reason to sign up for the bigspur.com, because John Whittle, if he's available, will basically live message board these things. And I mean, that's worth the price of admission right there, if anything is.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah. If you're not keeping up with Whittle, live boarding the call-in show, then you are missing out, my friends.
Dude, it is so funny. I agree with you. I think, he started it did he start that 2 years ago? Wasn't it two seasons ago?
Years, I think, at least. Maybe it might be 3 now. I don't know.
It was there was a couple of games last year where he wasn't available to be there. I can't remember. It must have been Alex, maybe, that filled his spot for the Big Spur. I can't remember. And it was like a major letdown. And I hate this. And that is no disrespect to Alex at all. Like, you're doing it the right way, man. Like, you're doing it the right way. It has, it has nothing to do with your work. It just has to do with the fact that what Whittle is, what he does is, it's irreplaceable. So
it is.
Yeah, I don't know if you're doing that. I guess I could text John and find out. But nonetheless, there's always some moron that calls in with something ridiculous. Oh, and yeah. I don't know about you, but I kind of expect something similar this year.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. At least that's what I'm expecting. So, yeah, exactly, Craig. Caller, turn down your radio. Craig's in the Nana Sports chat box where you can be as well. If you are watching our program, make sure you've downloaded the all-new Chief Sports app. It is a place of information and entertainment. You can watch our program and listen to it back in podcast form if you'd like to. You can do that with JC and Morgan. There is a special JC and Morgan tomorrow as well. And Bill King will be joining JC and Mike in that program. So you'll be able to check that there on the Chief Sports app. If you're a fan of high school football, you can get your scores on Friday nights. And there's 3 little lines in the upper right-hand corner. If you don't mind, share it with your friends and family. We'd really, really appreciate that, even if they're not Carolina fans. And certainly support our partners that are in there, because those are the people that you need in your life for whatever it may be. Different services, places to eat, catering, you name it. It'll only continue to fill up as well. So hit that partnership section. When you think of something you might need, check there first. Spend your money and your time with the people that we call part of our family around here. as well. Let's see here real quick before we get going, Phil, from the Nana Sports chat box. I know, look, we've had a lot of folks wanting us to take calls, and it is something we've entertained it. And I can't say that we won't do it. We might one day. But for now, it doesn't really fit what we're kind of trying to do. But we hear you, and maybe one day that's something we'll be able to do around here. I have a question for you, though, an off the cuff question. Now that it's kind of been brought up by Jamie Churchill in the chat box, Phil, what is more entertaining, Whittle's play-by-play of the call-in show or the post-game show where those whom have been drinking all day are calling in?
Oh, the post-game is fun too. I mean, that's when you get peak fan, right? Win or lose.
Is that what they call that?
Well, that's exactly what it is. It's peak fanatic. You come in and they've been into the cups all game long. And of course, they have picked it apart upon one viewing and the limited camera angles that they get and know everything that is right and wrong with what just happened on TV.
Yeah, dude. It's I don't know how those guys do it. I really don't. I have no idea how they answer these questions without losing their minds. I talked to Brent Johnson. Brent used to host that show, and I talked to Brent about this one time a few years back, and I think it was right before he was kind of about to sign off on that end of things in his career. And I said, what do you like? What keeps you sane for those 2+ hours after a ball game? Honestly, are you drinking in there? Like what do you do to not just go off the rails on these idiots? And he said, we just treat it like comedy. You just got to sit there and just let them say what they want to say. And if you have information that is true, that directly what contradicts what they're trying to explain, then fine, you've got it, and you supply that information, and then you can whatever. Outside of that, a lot of people actually just listen to that show just to hear the drunks and the morons. So just let them be drunks and morons. It's no reflection on you. Just let them do it. And then I guess it makes sense. Yeah. So, for what it's worth, there is
I like listening to it. It's basically the best part of it. Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, no, I mean, yeah, that's the only reason I listen to the post-game call-in show is to listen to everybody, give their inebriated takes.
Yeah, their 2 cents on everything.
Why else would you listen?
Exactly.
We all just saw what happened. We're not really going to know anything until, you start really looking into it and digging in, and the experts give, play breakdowns and things like that. So, I mean,
that's right.
Just go in there and listen to them off the cuff on that emotion.
Yeah, just let them do what they do. Yeah, well, it's coming. It will begin next Saturday night, and hopefully the folks that are calling in after the game are calling in after a win. That surely would be better. Yesterday at the Shane Beamer press conference, we're going to try to get some video to you on that here in just a little bit, so we'll be able to kind of fuss and discuss on the program. The big off the field news is the fact that prior to the Kentucky game, Darude will be playing at Gamecock Village. That is the originator of Sandstorm, and that's going to be pretty cool because regardless of what anybody in any fan base and the rest of college athletics tries to tell you, that song became popular in college athletics because of South Carolina. Period. The end. There is nothing else to that conversation. There is no more that needs to be had. I know some people, well, that song was around, long before he ever started playing it. Sure, you're right. But South Carolina made it a part of their traditions at Williams-Brice Stadium, and that is now expanded itself into hoops and baseball and everything else, and it's also played in other ballparks across the country, and that's fine. But it became popular in South Carolina. There's a reason why Darude has agreed to come and do it live outside of Williams-Brice Stadium, and that certainly is going to be pretty neat, man. So hopefully the weather will be good for that. It is late November. It's the week. I still can't get used to that. Playing Kentucky the week before the Clemson game. Like, it is so strange.
Yeah, it really is. It is odd. Typically, I think I associate Kentucky with right around my eldest daughter's birthday, which is early October.
Yeah.
That's usually where it falls. But it's just this year they've kind of shaken things up. It's kind of like when they moved the Georgia game to deeper into the season, you know? Because it's like that just doesn't feel right either.
No, it didn't. It's really not going to feel right next year when South Carolina isn't playing Georgia, Tennessee, or Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really, such a transition period for college football, and we feel it right here at home as well. I mean, as long as I've been alive, there's never been a year without playing all of them. So that'll be kind of strange. But anyways, Darude is coming. Outside of that, Shane, of course, got into the injury report. I already saw earlier, a comment in the Nana Sports chat box saying it sounds like Juice isn't going to play. I mean, I'm not going to tell fans to speculate on one thing or another because that's what they're going to do. But the direct quote from Shane Beamer on both Juice Wells and Nick Harbor is this: I expect them both to play. Do I expect both of them to play Saturday night? Absolutely. That is from Shane Beamer. So I can't. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and open my microphone and tell you, no, I don't expect him to play unless somebody in that program said, by the way, Shane was up there just gaslighting everybody. He's lying. They're not going to play next week. They expect him to play. So that's what we're going to go off of, and the fact that they are going to be suiting up. And pretty much everybody else is seemingly going to be good to go. I mean, what it seemed like to me, Phil, is that a lot of what has transpired in the preseason from an optics view, from the injury situation itself, has, while there have been certainly some bang ups, they could go out and play. They've just been holding guys out and being very careful and cautious with them, maybe even more so than in years past.
Yeah, I mean, and that is probably just being, probably some due diligence. I mean, Juice Wells has great expectations coming into the year to have a fabulous year, not just to, show out for North Carolina. So you've got to play the long game when it comes to some of these like nagging things, if that's what's going on, because I really don't know what's happening. I'm not in there with the trainers, and I don't know what's going on with Juice, or Harbor for that matter. But hey, what we have to go on is what the head coach said yesterday, is that he fully expects both of them to play in some capacity next Saturday, and for that we're going to be very grateful. I'm sure it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so much access now, Phil, and if you take yourself back, however far you want to go, before it really became the world that we're in now, this we're living in just one big fishbowl where everybody can see in, and before Twitter and all those type of things, Facebook, message boards, whatever it was. I mean, how many times have college football programs, not just South Carolina, period, the end, college football programs, had multiple guys sitting out, not practicing, whatever it was, and you never even knew about it. They just went out there and played game one, and you had no clue that so-and-so over there was at some point in time banged up or was held out for precautionary reasons or whatever the case may be. But now information, when it leaks, it spreads. And, there used to be a leak and it would make the newspaper the day or two later, or it would make the news a day or two later, or even that night, or whatever it was. In the message board world, the leaks that would get out that made it to the message boards years ago before this wildfire of social media, those were leaks that were put on the message boards by those that hosted the message boards or owned them, the J.C. Sherberts of the world, those guys. You would have the occasional fan, of course, that would have some information, but a lot of the things that make it on the message boards now, Phil, come from where? Social media.
Yep.
All right. So, yeah, this was on Twitter. This came from so-and-so. Well, where'd that come from? He got it from somebody who he says is connected to the program. Well, who is that? Well, nobody wants to give up sources, and fans claim that they have them. And so you don't really know, right? You don't really know. So you have so much information that goes on out there. And when you get into this, where we are, that 30-day countdown from basically when you kick off fall camp, or preseason camp, to when you kick off the first game, there's just going to be a lot of information that floats around out there. And, coaches, they all address it differently. Some of them won't talk about any of it. Some of them will be very vague. Some of them will be very honest. I think it was last week, dude. I don't know if you heard Kirby talking about a couple of injuries, but he's literally talking about metatarsal bones and things like that, specific injuries to some of his players. And, Shane doesn't do that. He'll tell you now he's been a little bit banged up, or he's kind of got a lower body injury or whatever it is. So he's a little bit vague about things. But
you got to think that killed Muschamp hearing him say that. He's like, man, just the dude's got a foot.
He's got a foot, man.
Some bones, man. Listen, he's got a foot.
He's got a foot. Yeah, exactly. So, I don't play the game of second guessing what the head coach is saying. I just don't do it. We've all got sources. I've got some pretty good ones. I venture a guess if I reached out and asked a specific question, I would get an answer. I'll say that I have asked 2 questions on 2 players, and none of it contradicts what has been said publicly. So that's what we'll go on. And it looks like Carolina's largely going to be pretty healthy going into the game. I think the big question in that North Carolina game really is how healthy is North Carolina? They've got some injuries and stuff like that going on in the secondary. We got Brad Crawford coming up the noon hour. Maybe he's heard something on that, Phil, so we can certainly ask. But, we'll just have to see. Howard here in the chat box, by the way, says, funny how the North Carolina governor shoots his mouth off about the Tar Heel receiver being ineligible. Then the following week, the receiver is eligible now. Did they officially clear that?
I have not seen anything officially on that. I know, JC said it's more than likely going to happen. I would imagine it's going to happen. But, the NCAA moves in their own time.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything official unless it has happened in the last 15 minutes. But so Howard, if you've got something official that we don't have, make sure you send that along.
Yeah, drop a link in the chat there. We'll check it out.
Yeah, something that's that would be not hearsay. All right, it is 11:22. We are teed up by the coolest club in the Carolinas. I was standing outside dropping the kids off at school this morning, talking to somebody I know over there, and it felt like football. There was a breeze, and it was cool, not cold, but it was cooler. And all I could think about was, this feels like football. So hopefully it stays that way. We know that it won't, but certainly looking forward to the fall. Got to hit a timeout. Again, Brad Crawford is ahead plenty on South Carolina. And how about some under-the-radar national games in week 1? We know all the games everybody's talking about. What about the ones they aren't talking about that you could cut your TV on and think, wow, it might be a little bit better than I thought it would be? We'll get into some of that as well. Hang tight. Inside the Gamecocks, the show, part of the Chief Sports Network. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, this is Mo Copper from Carolina Football. The show is painted garnet black every day by a couple of painters. Go to letmepaintsomething.com to check them out. Go Cox.
10% off for military repeat customers or mention the show. Interior, exterior painting, fencing, cabinet staining, concrete painting, popcorn ceiling removal, and more. 803-522-6832. LetMePaintSomething.com.
If you're in the upstate of South Carolina and are in need of residential real estate services, Cindy Bass Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane is for you. Ask her about the Village at Creekside, all of her listings in my hometown of Spartanburg, South Carolina, right there on Daniel Morgan Avenue, married to a lifelong Gamecock fan. And many of our listeners have already bought homes from her and been 100% satisfied with the detail and care she uses. Cindy Searfoss, 864-414-5271, Caldwell Banker Kane in the upstate for your real estate needs.
Building your dream home is often just that, a dream, and sometimes a nightmare. But at the Barn Dough Company, they commit to quality and build without sacrifice. Customization, open floor plans, limitless flooring options, maintenance-free and easy installation perks, and affordability are just a few reasons why they've been named one of the best builders in the U.S. Believe in your dreams. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. That's thebarndominiumco.com. The Barn Dough Company, Gamecock owned, Gamecock operated. The preferred sign partner of Gamecock Athletics is Signorama Columbia, and they should be yours too. A full-service sign company that handles design, production, install, and service, Signorama Columbia has helped to bring to life the perfect vision for so many all across South Carolina. Owned and operated by proud Gamecock alumni, they can handle all types of signage, including interior and exterior, vehicle graphics, and more. Go to Signorama.com and find the West Columbia location, or call them at 803-407-9284. Bring your brand to life with Signorama Columbia, and go Gamecocks!
This crowd, the atmosphere that's going to be in that stadium, ready to explode, just as they do each time their fighting Gamecocks are introduced.
And so this frenzied crowd ready for the kickoff. The rage breaks out in Columbia.
And what you're about to see is a spectacle unto itself. Let's enjoy.
(11:26), August 23rd. Welcome back inside the Gamecocks, the show from the Signorama Studios. Matt Vaughn runs an incredible business. So if you're in the state of South Carolina and you own one, you need a new sign. Maybe it's on the building. Maybe it's a banner. Who knows? Whatever it is. If it's a sign, they can do it. Signorama.com, 803-407-9284. You tell Matt that we sent you. Give him a hug for us. He's a good man. He's a great Gamecock, by the way, too. Gamecock owned and operated. All right, Daniel Hill yesterday pushed back his announcement, Phil, and I am not a recruiting reporter, so I'm just balling up the things that have been said by Hale McGranahan and spouting them off, which all of you have more than likely probably already read. And if you have not, then here it is. Here's the latest update, which is as of last night. Basically, it sounds like somebody in the family, more than likely the father, because I understand he's big on Daniel Hill staying closer to home, which would mean Alabama, if that's possible, has kind of encouraged him to take a good, long, hard look at this and not just commit if you're not rushed to commit to a program. In addition, though, regardless of what those wanted to jump to conclusions over yesterday, NIL is not a factor with this. And if it is, it's very, very minimal. But it's not like somebody just came in and said, well, they've given more money than South Carolina, so that's not true. So if somebody is tweeting that or saying that wherever, they're wrong. That's incorrect. But, you know, Carolina's in a really good spot, Phil. So could he be waiting and taking visits this fall? That's kind of what it seems like it's kind of going to come down to. But could he also turn the corner and decide to go ahead and commit wherever? Yeah, he could. But it looks like this is going to draw out a little bit longer. Certainly not something that Carolina fans want to hear or feel. And I understand that totally. It would be a nice shot in the arm to have him in the bag before you kick off next week against North Carolina. Some good momentum overall for the program. Has nothing to do with what's going to happen on the field next week. But yesterday, certainly it was a surprise. And I know those that have been following and covering his recruitment very closely, Phil, I know that they were greatly surprised by that as well.
Yeah, I mean, and here, listen, these decisions on where to go to school for these kids are so much bigger, even now than all the NIL talk and influence would have you believe. I mean, it still comes down to family relationships with coaching staffs. I mean, relationships are the number one motivator in any sort of decision like this. I know it's hard to hear, and when everybody when you keep hearing the rumors and seeing the who knows who on the internet posting about getting the bag and got to get it bigger and it's got to be bigger and badder than the next guy. But this is a huge decision for a 17, 18-year-old kid, because if you're in it to play the game, I mean, you want to, especially if you're at the top level and you're 4 or 5 star recruit, you're like, okay, well, I got to put in 3 years and then I'm off to, hopefully fulfill my dreams of being in the league. And, everybody around you in that little circle of yours is giving you their opinions, and you've, trusted what they've said for years and years and years as a child because they're your parents. And, when they tell you to consider it, you're going to consider it. So, I don't mind him taking some deliberation time. And listen to me, you've got until signing day and in February. You don't have to do the early one. So, I mean, it's not something that is going to be rushed. And I know it's been months, and I think I saw that in the chat box. It was like, rushed, it's been 6 months. But, I mean, hey, he's got 6 more that he could use to consider it. And if it takes that long, it takes that long.
Yeah, I mean, John is the one who said that in the chat box here. Rush, this has already been going on like 6 months. Good grief. Understand your perspective as a fan. I guess my question to you would be, have you ever been highly recruited by a college football program? And what is that process like? If you don't mind, I'm not trying to be a jerk. But if you don't mind, explain to us what that process is like and how your timeline was, how you believe that the timeline in which you would commit to a program would differ from Daniel Hill's, just out of curiosity. If not, then I think that, we need to not necessarily be judgmental because he might not be ready. And as Quantrell said just a minute ago, not going to lie, I would want to take fall visits. I would too.
I like that too. It was like, yeah, I'd show up in every SEC stadium I could. Every one of them that would host me.
I can tell you right now that if I was growing up how I grew up, if I was a big time prospect in college football, and I knew in my heart, I'm going to be a Gamecock. That's what I'm going to do. Kind of like, I don't know, Luke Doty. If they recruit me, there's nowhere that I'm going except for South Carolina. I would still take official visits. Why not? Why not? I'm not saying that I would go anywhere else, but I'm just saying I'd still take the officials and enjoy the process and go see some ball games and let them wine me and dine me and things of that nature. And I guess you never know what that could open you up to. You might think that what you thought all along was not exactly what you wanted to do. Now, I certainly don't hope that's the case here for Daniel Hill. As a fan, you want to see him in garnet and black, and he's a guy who probably will come in and help him pretty quickly. But I
was going to say, remove name and affiliation out of the circumstance.
Yeah.
It was like
human.
One of the primary reasons of getting into a university is to not just get the education and the diploma or the playing time and the ability to move up. It's the networking and people that you're going to meet. So that process gets to start a little sooner for elite athletic prospects, and that they get to begin that level of networking while they're in high school. It's one of the bigger reasons to get to know other coaching staffs. And what if you show up to a school, your coach leaves after a first year, if you have zero familiarity with any other programs around, then are you just stuck if you don't like the direction that the program's going to go in after your coach leaves, even though you get a free transfer? I mean, so yeah, I mean, it just makes sense. Network yourself, get out there, go see more, go introduce yourself to more people. It's not what you know, but who, as Grandma always said.
Exactly. And Clint asked, but wouldn't he have known he wanted to take more visits before now? Yeah, I'm not saying that he didn't. I think that what happened in this situation here, again, based on reporting and just kind of chatting with a couple of people yesterday, that South Carolina's in a really, really, really good spot. But this kid just, and it's not a similar situation. Literally, this is a direct quote. This is not similar to Jonathan Paylor. And I know there's going to be PTSD out there for fans. I get that. Totally understand it. Should be. Understand that. It's happened a couple of times. And that's the world we're in now in recruiting. And, you got two things going up with this, with Shane Beamer. You're going up against a couple of things now. One, you got a different world of recruiting, right? When you got all the NIL stuff involved. Two, they are really good at what they do. And they're so good that they're in the mix with the best players in the country. And they're fighting Alabamas and Georgias and Ohio States and all these big time programs that occasionally you would fight a team, you would fight over a player for. It's much more consistent now than it ever has been. They're getting in the door with the best players in college or in high school football that they want to get in the door with. And so they're going to lose some of those battles. And I'm not saying they're going to lose this battle. I don't think they are. I think they're going to win it. I think it's going to win out for Shane and his staff. But I think that they're it just seems right now that Daniel Hill decided, you know what? I don't have to commit. So I'm not going to. And then I'll do it when I'm 100% ready. I don't know what else there is to say.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to be all vocal and open about it and be like, respect my decision and fight back with the idiot fans in your DMs who are, berating you and telling you, where to go. But, hey, the process is yours. Do it your own way. I don't mind that. But
think about it. Think about it like a wedding. You set your date to get married, and then you get to the day before. Would you rather get married and go, I don't know if I should have done this, or would you rather the day before, although it's going to kind of suck and you feel like you're going to piss off a lot of people? I think we're going to push this thing back a little bit.
That's right. Hey,
well, why is that?
Just rip that Band-Aid off.
I was kind of thinking I might want.
Your dad's going to be real mad at you, but
yeah. Clint, that's going to be our new. That's going to be our new comp when we have this conversation. Well, you know what? I do want to get married to you. I do. But what I was thinking was over the next 3 or 4 months, I might go on a few dates just to make sure that you and I are
I'm gonna test out some other.
I'm all yours. Like, trust me. Like, it's going to be me and you at the end of the day. But I just want to go on a few more dates. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, as fathers of daughters, that's real great in the hypothetical, right?
Yeah. You hear that, honey? # respect my decision.
Respect my decision. That's right.
Hey, at least we knew before we tied the knot and everybody got tangled up in something they didn't want to be in. I don't think that's the case at all with Daniel Hill.
No.
Matter of fact, if they land him, and again, I think they will land him ultimately. Look, the Matthew Fuller kid, as this fall goes on, there's probably going to be some eyeballs that get a little bit wider when they see his clips and what type of football player he is, Phil. He's pretty good, and I know they really like him.
Yeah. I mean, just go watch the clips of the guys that have already, verbally committed, and you'll start feeling better about what it is that's coming in. I mean,
yeah,
you didn't see that like Mazioper Bennett had a great performance Friday.
Yeah.
up here in Greenville, taking down Dorman. I mean, multiple times he's back behind the defense, just blazed them. So, I mean, but listen, it's a tough decision for these kids. It's got to be even harder when you got family members, pulling you in different directions. But yeah, I mean, the decision will get made, and then we'll be able to actually talk about it without having to speculate. But as of right now, everything everybody's hearing is South Carolina's still in a good position with Hill.
Pretty good spot. There's no doubt. I love this. This is a great name. Grew up watching this guy. I'm glad it was brought up. It's the first. I've been in media for 10 years, and this is the first time this name has ever come on a show of mine. ESPN, JB and Goldwater are here. I'm going to read it in the chat box. Ken Martin, my high school best friend, was recruited back in '96. He ended up at Carolina, but even back then, the process was stressful. John Stamper, defensive end, enrolled in '97. I remember John Stamper. I always remember thinking that is a great name for a defensive end, John Stamper.
Yeah, that's all name team for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. That is really neat to know that Ken, that's your buddy. Yeah, I felt like I talked about every Carolina football player ever, and never has John Stamper's name come up. So that is really, really cool. So hat tip there. Howard says family's tough to beat when it comes to recruiting. Look at Jaheim Bell and his mom. Yeah, and was that his uncle? I think it was his uncle, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. These kids, I mean, they're making lifetime decisions when you're, still developing. I mean, it's, I don't envy them.
Yeah, no, it kind of is what it is, and we'll go from there.
People get you too now. I mean, like real big money if you're top recruit. So yeah, got to be stressful.
It's a lot different than it used to be. There's no doubt. Bruin Nation, what's up, man? He said we need depth. That's the knock on Hardesty. Lands one guy's cycle. We're going to continue to be short in that room. Yeah, I mean, well, we cycle it over, so we gotta wait and see kind of how it all plays out here. But
you got some young local guys coming up too. I mean, South Carolina running backs. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
you'd like to think
not going to be immediate next year, but yeah, it's the prospects are good. Just keep this train rolling.
Yeah, you would like to think that if an offer is extended to either Marquise Henderson or LaDainian Martin or both, and there's a chance that both will receive an offer from South Carolina, that both would be very much on commitment alert or watch, because if you're a running back in this state right now and you're a good one, you're probably well aware of the situation that South Carolina is kind of in. But that's where it is. All right. Quantrell says Josh Simon, Carolina, is good at tight end. I guess I must have missed something up there somewhere, but we were getting into the conversation about tight end anyway. Yesterday, listening to Coach Beamer talk about Trey Knox, Phil, I couldn't help but think, now, different body styles, of course, and I would say different players, but the more that I heard Shane talk about Trey, it actually very much made me think they're kind of similar players, and you don't really have to go back that long, as in just one season ago, Nate Adkins, because what Shane was saying yesterday about Trey Knox, it more caught my attention about what he does without the football than what he does with it. We know what he does with the football. We've seen that. Those are the things that make the highlight tapes. We've seen all of that. But rarely does it make the tape or the conversation when you've got a tight end who is selfless out there throwing blocks and understanding what's going on, being able to kind of be a coach on the field. Generally, your coaches on the field are your quarterback and your center, if they're good. And Carolina's pretty good in that aspect. But he just kept going on and on about all of these attributes that Trey Knox, Phil, is bringing out onto the field, but with the caveat of, well, we know he can catch the football.
And we know he's good. Yeah.
Go back to Nate Atkins for a second and think about this for a second, right? we didn't really know that Nate Adkins could catch the football. And we knew he could catch it. I mean, come on, I'm not an idiot. But at the level in which he could be a receiving style tight end until the last less than quarter of the season. We thought he was a role player based on the offense they were running. What you want to call it that? You know, he was kind of in there to block guys and provide some extra beef out there and running lanes and this, that, and the other. There just was never really any buzz on that Nate Adkins could be an elite catching type tight end. And of course, the big moment for him clearly was the catch in the Clemson game that kept the drive moving along. They would ultimately score on that drive. And South Carolina was kind of off and running on the offensive side of the football in the upstate. Well, now you've got Trey Knox, right? And again, by the way, Josh Simon has been if anybody's listened to me since February, I've said his name 1,000 times. I don't think
you've been hot on the Simon train.
Yeah, since day one. I mean, like he kid can play. I know he can play. He's going to play, and he is just flat out going to be a guy. But like with Trey Knox, the comparison to Adkins is, I'm comparing the two, and I'm doing it because it's very unique. Because we have known all along that Trey Knox can go out and catch the football. But what we've learned over the last couple of weeks about this kid, Phil, is what he does without it. And that was Shane's point of emphasis yesterday. So you'd like to think that they feel really comfortable about the fact that both of these guys, not only can they go out and get it, but they're going to provide all that extra stuff that you need out of that position to make an offense click both ways, running and throwing.
Yeah. And what was funny is I was sitting there in the car line yesterday watching the Beamer's press conference, and he was talking about Trey Knox, and I just kept thinking, I'm like, okay, roll this back 1 year. What were we hearing out of preseason about the number one tight end on that team? That Jaheim Bell wasn't really a tight end. We were having to get him up to speed on what to do when you don't have the ball in your hand. This was, leading into that whole season last year. And it's just night and day from what we're hearing out of the newly revamped from the ground up tight end room that you've got coming into the 2023 season. And quite frankly, made me feel a lot better about the position moving in.
You exactly, like there's been more comparison of these tight ends to Jaheim Bell. And I think that's incorrect. I think it's Nate Adkins. I think he's the comparison. Yeah. I don't think there is a comparison with Austin Stogner. I mean, no disrespect to that young man. Best of luck this year at Oklahoma, and he's had an outstanding collegiate career. I wish it would have, truly worked out. And clearly that was a little bit frustrating to Shane when he was asked about Stog, a while back. Yeah. But I think that these guys, when you think about what is a true tight end, these guys more resemble what they lost and what we saw late in the season with Nate Adkins. I think they're better than Jaheim Bell. And again, I don't mean that disrespectfully. We're just, that's part of what we do around here. We talk about some of this stuff. Jaheim Bell, I wanted the football in his hands, deserved it. He's elite with it. There's no doubt. He proved it. I mean, oh my gosh, guy's incredible. He's probably going to be incredible for Florida State. And I know that a lot of fans sure as hell hope he's incredible for Florida State in week 4 when they head to the upstate to take on Clemson. It'd be neat if you're Jaheim Bell to get 2 wins in Clemson, by the way, in about a 10-month span. That'd be something.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
But these guys more resemble Nate Adkins, the fact that they're complete football players. Yeah, they can go get the ball, but also they'll do everything that it takes without it. I don't think you're getting that out of Jaheim.
Yeah, no. I mean, nobody's taken away from him that he was a stellar athlete. And, the biggest drawback, I think, was the mismanagement of how he was used last year from an offensive coordinator perspective. But, you're right in that the type of player that you've got in there now is more like that all-around football guy who knows what to do with the ball and without the ball in their hands.
Yeah.
Because tight end, you have to be a smart player to play tight end because you've got to know blocking schemes. You've got to know route assignments. You've got to know, there's any number of things you have to know to successfully execute that position. And what we're hearing is exactly what you want to hear.
Right. Absolutely. By the way, speaking of Trey Knox, this is pretty neat. Phil Steele has released the 2024 Senior Bowl watch list. South Carolina has the 5th most players in the country on the Senior Bowl watch list. 5th most, tied with LSU. 16 players are on Phil Steele's Reese's Senior Bowl watch list. And we don't have time, but I'm going to do it anyways. Name every one of them. Debo Williams, Juice Wells, Jordan Strawn, David Spalding, Josh Simon, Spencer Rattler, Eddie Lewis, Xavier Legette, Trey Knox, Tariq Johnson, Tonka Hemingway, Nick Gargiulo, Marcellus Dial, Amarian Brown, Mario Anderson, and Drew Tuazama. All of them have been named to the watch list here, which is pretty neat. And it goes back to the stat we rolled out a few weeks ago about the experience on the offensive side of the football at the skill positions, because I pretty much just named every single one guys, Phil, but it also kind of stands out the fact that you've got Mario Anderson, transfer running back, on this list from Newberry, who has kind of flown under the radar a little bit here. I know he's performed well and he's going to play, but has certainly flown under the radar just a little bit. And guess the last name that I just mentioned, Drew Tuazama, the transfer from UAB. The guy's been here for 48 hours, and he's on this list as well. So that should tell you the type of depth that he's planning to add to South Carolina. The 5th most in the country. The most, by the way, Ole Miss has 20 players on that list, followed by Tennessee with 19, Michigan with 18, Oregon with 17. So pretty elite company for the Gamecocks there with 16 alongside LSU. That's pretty neat. So hats off to all those guys as the season is set to crank up. All right, it's 11:51, final timeout of hour number 1. In 10 minutes, we'll be joined by Brad Crawford with 24/7 Sports as well. Under the radar national games to get to. Hang tight. Inside the Gamecocks, the show. It's powered by Electric Bikes of Charleston. You can go up to 28 miles per hour on a bike. Grab a beer and take a ride. How about that? ElectricBikesCharleston.com. We'll be right back. Golfers and wannabe golfers, former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor is now a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina. In-person golf lessons are held at the Country Club of Lexington. Half-hour, hour, on course 9 or 18 holes. And if you're outside of South Carolina, Meredith conducts virtual lessons. Just send in your golf swing for analysis. Gift cards are available for in-person 1-hour lessons. Connect on Twitter at Mayor Taylor and find her online at McKellarEnterprises.org. Her email is on the website. Schedule your next lesson today with Meredith Taylor, former Gamecock golfer. Electric Bikes of Charleston offers the most fun you'll ever have on 2 wheels. Magnum, Velotric, Aventum bikes, and more. And they sell to consumers all across the state and offer outstanding warranties and service after the sale. 5 levels of pedal assist plus a throttle help you handle the southern heat better, but still get great exercise. Bikes are available all ages and sizes. ElectricBikesCharleston.com or stop into their store in Mount Pleasant. Electric Bikes of Charleston, powering Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Charleston! Electric Bikes of Charleston! Electric Bikes of Charleston! Electric Bikes of Charleston! Electric Bikes of Charleston!
right, welcome back, everybody, inside the Gamecocks, the show. Final segment of the first hour here. JB and Phil with you. JC taking a travel day, has a few important meetings prior to hitting the road as well. And the first hour of the show is brought to you by Cindy Searfoss and the Coldwell Banker Kane Realty team here in the Upstate. Give Cindy a call at 864-414-5271 for your upstate residential real estate needs. Yeah, we were out in downtown Greenville last night, JB. Had a good time with the family. What we call family date night. So you get out, like midweek. All four of us went down to Mellow Mushroom downtown Greenville, walked in, sat down, and we're going over the menu, figuring out what we wanted to eat. And the guy walks up and is like, "Hey, you want to play trivia?" And without a thought, my wife's like, "Yes." Said it so fast, he was like, "Well, are you here for trivia?" And we're like, "No." We just showed up to have dinner, man. But we'll play your trivia. Go right ahead.
Are you?
Oh yeah, yeah, right.
Why are you here?
Yeah, we get he hands us the papers and all of that. We're in there. We feel pretty confident. We're doing really well. We know in the first round. I don't think we missed a question at all in the first round. Get to the intermission. We're tied for first, and then proceed to continue on our domination right through to the end. And then they've got the last question set up as kind of like a final Jeopardy, if you will. That you get to know the category and you get to wager, however many of your points there are that you have available is what your final bid is. And of course, you got to let it ride. So we put all the points on there, nailed the last question, and walked out with $25 off my dinner last night.
All right, man.
I love it. And what was great is we all four contributed. Even my youngest got a music question correct. She was like, "I know this song. I know this song." I'm like, "All right." So yeah, way to go.
Fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
See, that's how you. That's Mad Dog at his best right there.
That was it. That's it. Mm-hmm.
The Mullinax family takes Greenville.
That's right. That's
takes
right.
Downtown.
Nobody messes with the family.
Mad Dog does downtown.
Yeah. We'll storm it with or without the kids. This is my town. You hear that, all y'all up here that are moving in?
Great.
Greenville's ours, has been ever since we were born.
This is my town.
It's my town.
Great song. Well, congratulations to and nice choice on the pizza, by the way. You did get pizza, right?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, we had appetizer, wings, and then ate pizza. Oh yeah, it was good. We had a great time last night. Good food.
My wife is actually headed out of town this weekend, and I've got daddy-daughter stuff from Friday till Sunday afternoon whenever she returns, and I'm already planning, okay, we're getting good pizza. We're going to do cinnamon rolls, homemade, Saturday morning. I know that we'll probably go to the pool mid-Saturday morning. And Notre Dame Navy's on at 2:30, and I'm just itching for football, so I want to make sure we're back to watch that. So what do I want to do? I want to put something on the smoker? Do I just want to do maybe some smash burgers? Eat all the junk, because when she's home during the week, we're eating pretty healthy stuff.
Yeah. You got to live it up. Got to live it up when the wife's away, especially with the girls too. Yeah, it's like we always have a good time. End up eating things we shouldn't and having a good time.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I'm doing. Cinnamon rolls.
All about. That's right.
If I tried to do cinnamon rolls and Carrie's here, she'd be like, "No, I don't want one. That's fine. I'm just going to have this beet with a half an egg and a strawberry mixed together or something ridiculous."
That's right. Yeah, sure, hon. I'll cook the chicken. It's okay.
Cocky Joe is a Marco's guy. My mom loves Marco's. She literally loves Marco's. Clint's not a big fan of Mellow Mushroom. He said he's a Bertolo's guy.
It's all right. I've had better, but it tasted even sweeter off the victory last night.
Yeah, it's okay. We don't all have to agree. It's America.
No.
If you don't, if we on this show, if you disagree with us, we don't cancel you. It's okay.
No. Yeah, no, that's true.
Okay, wait. Clint said Marco's the worst. Cancel him. I'm done with this.
Okay. We take that back. Yeah, right.
Okay.
2 seconds.
We're trying to give you some leniency. You're out. Get down. I'm just kidding. I like Marco's. I do like It's not where I mean, we there's a place on where I live on Johns Island called J.I. Pizza. And when you order the large pizza, I'm not kidding. I'll take a picture the next time I go there and I'll tweet it. I can't put it in the front seat of my truck unless it's.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The slices you only eat one slice. I mean, they're like 8. They're huge. I don't even know how to explain it. Yeah. It's hard to eat more than one slice. So.
That's awesome. I love big pizza like that. Like New York style. Not
New
all
York.
that.
Yeah. It's floppy and you got to kind of figure it out,
Oh, yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of the Chicago style pizza. I feel like I'm eating, lasagna with crust. Just not.
You want me to say something really unpopular?
Yeah, hit us with it.
Here, Clint's going to be he's going to be loving on this one. Ooh. Tyler, I'm in Maggie Valley all the time. I've eaten Brick House 1,000 times, my friend. We have a house up there. Tyler, do you live in Maggie? Because we're up there literally all the time. I know that town inside and out, everywhere around it. But yeah, Brick House is fantastic in Maggie. The Big New Yorker at Pizza Hut is actually pretty good. Sure, Clint's going to cancel us for saying that.
I'm not a Pizza Hut.
Tyler's my guy.
Yeah, man. I bet y'all are gonna have to get up and have some pie.
He lives over in Cherokee. Man, great goodness. That's awesome, man. Tyler, stick around, brother. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, we can tell stories all day. It's one day I'll live up there. That's the plan. That's for sure. We love it up there. All right, Brad is patiently waiting, and if I've learned anything over the years, you don't make Brad Crawford wait. He is not a happy man. So we'll get out of here, and we'll be right back with Brad Crawford, 24/7 Sports.
Just as your State Farm agent combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates, you can combine your home, auto, life, or small business insurance with Tony Pope State Farm Insurance today. And guess what you'll get? That's right, even more good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. In fact, Tony Pope State Farm is your go-to agent anywhere in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia for the service you deserve at the price you want. So try combining your home, life, auto, and or small business insurance today. Tony Pope State Farm has been in business for more than 30 years and can handle anything you need in the tri-state area. Once again, Tony Pope State Farm will help you mix and match perfectly. Call 843-851-2222 or visit TonyPope.com today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Nana's Porch, nanasporch.com. At Nana's Porch, they cater weddings, parties, and all kinds of special events. Their meals are served buffet style. In seconds, they're encouraged. Plus, they can bring their mobile food unit to bring on-site and serve your guests as a unique alternative for your catering needs. Inquire about rentals as well. nanasporch.com. Find them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. 336-259-7550.
If you're on Medicare currently or approaching eligibility, it's time to enroll in a Medicare plan that meets your needs. Palmetto Medicare is here to help you through the process. Palmetto Medicare's owner, Brian Spencer, and his team of experts are here to assist you. Learn about the benefits and enroll in a plan that will cover as many of your medical costs as possible. Some of the advantages of Medicare health plans may include a variety of plan choices, increased benefits, lower premiums, and more. Give Palmetto Medicare a call to discuss your insurance and help get the exact coverage for your needs today.
Looks good. Williams-Brice Stadium will be lit up here And just a couple of weekends. Final hour, Wednesday afternoon, or as they call it, as a little 4-year-old told me this morning at school, hump day. I was like, dude, you're 4. Nice work, though. Welcome back inside the Gamecocks, the show built by the Barndo Co. and powered by Electric Bikes of Charleston. Again, JC is out. He's got a meeting in Columbia, then traveling back to Chicago. He will be in tomorrow. But Brad Crawford is in now. He's been kind enough to save the day because Phil and I would get tired of each other for 2 straight hours. And Brad, Shane Beamer has now already had his first official midweek presser of the year, so it's starting to feel a little bit more like football season, at least here in the Palmetto State. What's up, man?
It is. Let me say one thing about the best pizza that I've had. Margarita pizza inside Epcot at Via Napoli is exquisite. It's
Really?
wood-burning stoves. The crust is almost burnt. Normally, I'm not an advocate of theme park food. It's largely disgusting, but that's a must reservation anytime you're in Orlando.
The margarita.
Yes, the margarita. Yes, it is extremely good. I've had it before. Nice, excellent choice.
Yeah, so that is interesting because I can't. I'm not saying I'm against it, but I'm not. I don't ever think about pineapple first. Like if someone's got it, I'll eat it, but I don't go out of my way to order it. So why is it so good?
Well, there's no pineapple on this one.
No.
Yeah, it's straight up cheese, huge tomatoes. The crust is almost blackened, and it's very hard to get a reservation there. Like there's no walking up and going inside and sitting down. You've got to have a plan to eat there.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you said that's at Epcot.
At Via Napoli, yep.
Okay. Well, I don't plan on actually ever going to Disney World with my children because I'm scared to death to do it. So I'll just put that on my wife's list of places to eat if she decides to take them. No, I'm just kidding.
You go.
We'll go. We'll go. I tell you where I'm not going to go because about every month for the last 3 months, you keep getting bad news is Carowinds. Apparently everything's falling apart up there. So
yeah, Fury was it Fury?
Yeah, Fury.
That was insane. I've been on that ride like 100 times, and to see that it's breaking down, I would not want to be the first 1,000 or so people who get back on that ride.
No,
oh no, not even close. Yeah, that's right. Pineapple's Hawaiian, margarita Hawaiian, whatever.
Yeah.
Gold jacket, green jacket. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go to Dollywood. Dollywood sounds better.
Dollywood's fun, but yeah, getting back to your Shane Beamer presser question, man. I think the Gamecocks would love to have another week or two in prep for North Carolina to figure out a few of these position groups that Shane alluded to still have ongoing battles. Offensive line, you're talking about probably 3 new transfer starters from Charlotte, Western Illinois, and Yale. I mean, none of us on this show would have projected that, 8 months ago. So I think it's very interesting that Shane says quarterback is settled right now, QB1. We know who that is. We know who the top 3 receivers are. And then, linebackers and secondary. Everything else pretty much up for grabs.
Yeah, it's funny you just said that. I rolled that scenario out yesterday for Phil and JC when we opened the show. I said, if December 31st, after they got beat by Notre Dame, you would have said to somebody, well, let me tell you what, man. Let me tell you about this offensive line. Next year when we get to game 1, there's going to be a walk-on left tackle from Charlotte. There's going to be a left guard from Yale. And I'll tell you what, you're going to really like this one. Old winless Western Illinois is going to send a right tackle down. They're all going to be starting. You'd be going, oh, my God, we're going to get our brains beat in next season.
And the guy from Yale might be the best player at the position group. He's assumed the leadership role. I've gotten a text every day about Nick Gargulo and just how good he's been during fall camp. So he's certainly going to start. And I don't know. I'm pretty interested in seeing, what that rotation is going to be like up front against not only UNC, but moving forward against Georgia's defensive front and, what looms against Tennessee.
Yeah, I think I think really, Brad, this is an offensive line that I would project is going to get better as long as they stay healthy.
Yeah,
that's going to actually continue to improve. Now, how much is that, and what is the starting line? We're going to have to wait and see. Of course,
right.
we understand that, but the key to all this though really comes down to a couple of guys, and their names are Spencer Rattler and Dowell Loggins, and everybody players, coaches. I mean, Brad, you've been doing this a long time. I mean, come on, we're not morons. When you ask a player about his quarterback, he's not going to go, he sucks, man. They're not going to say that. Like, I get it. but you also have sources, and you can match up what you hear publicly versus what you get privately.
Sure.
And by all stretches of the imagination here, at least my understanding is that what Spencer Rattler, his comfort level, that word's come up a lot, comfort, his comfort level with Dow Loggins, the system that he is now running, and what they've been able to collectively put together so far, they actually feel pretty darn good about. And if there are issues up front, I'm not saying it's going to mask everything, but it certainly can alleviate.
I was asked by a user recently on the Big Spur board how the Gamecocks should attack offensively this season. I said 65-35 in terms of pass versus run. I was one of the ones convinced that Spencer Rattler could have a 4,000-yard passing season if he's given the opportunity with this group of wideouts. I think the wide receiver room, Shane kind of mentioned it, it's pretty deep, fellas. I mean, there's 3 really good wide receivers and then 3 others, including a 5-star who's still learning the position, who could see the field this season. So, that said, if defenses are able to drop 8 into coverage and the Gamecocks can't run the ball, then that's going to spell trouble. So there's got to be some semblance of balance there. But I really think Rattler, if he's improved as much over these last 8 to 9 months as his teammates and Dow Loggins have said, then he could be one of the SEC's best quarterbacks. And I'm interested in seeing if he can finally show it on the field and not have a, 3/4 of the season where he's missing guys over the middle.
Yeah, I 65-35, that's an interesting number. Because how far do you have to go back to remember a season that was like that? Maybe
2014, maybe Dylan Thompson. I don't know.
But I don't. Brad, he threw for a lot of yards, but I don't think that he threw it 65% of the time.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, they ran the football well.
He didn't have a ton of 40 passing attempt games. You're right.
No, yeah, I think you probably have to go back maybe to I don't even know, the Tannehill era. That 1 year where they really flung it around. What was that? 90? Was that 94? 93?
Kind of a fun and gun type offense. Yeah.
95, maybe somewhere in there. I'm not sure, but it would. But I mean, but that comes when you have that conversation, though. Brad, I mean, you got an NFL offensive coordinator as your offensive coordinator now. I mean, That's what he is. And he's been that for the last decade, except for what was it last year, 2 years or whatever it is. So we've seen offenses evolve, and what you're describing, let's say that it is that. Let's say it's 60-40, 65-35. That though does not mean that you're just seeing him just rear back and fling it downfield like a lot of those Florida teams did under Spurrier.
No, the Spurrier Florida teams had a bunch of 4 wide, 5 wide sets, maybe single back. That's something that we haven't seen South Carolina run a whole lot really in program history. But I'm talking about, a tempo-based offense, a lot of short stuff for Rattler, and the fact that if this offensive line is not a bunch of road graders who can just push the opposition off the line of scrimmage, you're going to have to get it out quickly. You're going to have to get the ball to Marion Brown fast and juice on these slot crosses and these type of short routes that they like to run. So I know Rattler has one of the best arms in the SEC. Accuracy at times last season was an issue. But look, he has said all offseason that he's comfortable. He feels good in the huddle, and his teammates have said the same. I don't remember his teammates saying that heading into his first season at South Carolina. Maybe they did, but a lot of them were, I guess you could say, not on the same page under the previous OC.
I think to that point too, Brad, is what we're kind of hearing is that he is, like, even the players have hinted at how his accuracy has been in preseason.
Yeah.
And heading into this, I think we all kind of assumed that it would be one of those, you're gonna throw to open up the run. And if you're giving him high percentage throws with a competent play caller, then I mean, I don't see where 65-35 wouldn't mean success for South Carolina this year.
And if Juice is healthy, then you've got a guy who's going to get 10 to 12 targets a game. Let's say he catches 7 or 8 balls. Knowing how good he is at yards after the catch, that's going to be a lot of passing yards for Spencer Rattler. And I think there's going to be some situations, fellas, where if the run is stymied on early downs, then you're going to see Rattler in the shotgun with multiple wide receivers throwing downfield. Too many times last season, in my opinion, on 3rd and short situations, the Gamecocks just, ran an inside zone or a counter and just got stuffed. I think a lot of times this fall on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, you're going to see Dowell Loggins throw the football more than try to run it up there with DK and Juju.
And you got safety valves as well, because you got guys named Simon and Knox that are in there. And I mentioned this, I don't know if you were – I mean, you're pretty busy this time of year, so I'm not sure you're just sitting around watching our show, a little while ago. But I mentioned to Phil, listening to Shane yesterday, it felt much more like he was. By the way, I'm not singling out Trey Knox, because I am like the biggest believer of Josh Simon that there is in this state. I've said that since February. I absolutely love this kid. But Trey Knox, there's been in the offseason the comparisons to, can he be not running the football, but the athlete, the tight end that maybe Jaheim Bell was, comparing them athletically. I think he's more based on what Shane says compared to Nate Adkins, because Nate Adkins at the end of the year proved he could catch the football. Probably the large majority of that staff knew he could catch it prior to them deciding to throw it to him the last couple of games of the season, but you hear what I'm saying. But what we always knew about Nate Adkins is he could do everything well without the ball in his hands. We've known about Trey Knox, the pass catcher, but Shane has really gone out of his way to compliment him as the overall well-rounded tight end. I don't think that's something that they had in Jaheim Bell.
I think you're right. Part of the reason we saw JB last season, there were 5 or 6 games before Jaheim got moved to running back where he didn't play a ton of snaps because in rundown situations, he wasn't on the field. He's not interested in blocking. And I think Florida State knows that. That's why he's going to be used in that, hybrid type role this season. I think with Trey Knox, I spoke to one of our Arkansas insiders several times after the Gamecocks signed him, talked to him again at SEC Media Days. And he said Knox is a guy that when the ball's thrown in his direction, good things happen. And at Arkansas, he had a couple really nice games when Kendall Briles decided to more so involve Trey Knox, week to week in that game plan. So Knox is going to be the starter. I think him and Simon are going to both get a number of opportunities this season. In South Carolina, as of August 23rd, has upgraded at the tight end position, I think, based on what we saw last year. And, coming out of last season, after losing so many guys to the portal, graduation, eligibility, I didn't think that would be the case.
All right, Brad, let's talk about the game next week for a second here. Shane says that pretty much everybody that came up yesterday is going to be ready to go. And I believe him. I think that they're going to be pretty healthy for the game, as healthy as you can be.
Right.
What about North Carolina? Start with if there are any updates with Tez Walker. I've seen rumors that they lost 15 players to the portal on defense. I have not done a ton of research on that just yet, Brad. I have no clue how many of those guys were expected to be major contributors this year. I don't know about the guys that they brought in the portal. If you have information, can you kind of fill in the gaps there for us to know what South Carolina is going to see next week in Charlotte?
Yeah, just to start off with the Tez Walker stuff, I was told last week by 2 UNC sources that they were confident the NCAA would rule in Tez Walker's favor this week, and they'd hear something. So, fast forward to yesterday, Mac Brown kind of stoked the fire. He called out the NCAA's new president to make a decision one way or another. Like him and Chip Lindsey, his new OC, they're ready to either include Tez in this game plan for South Carolina or, put him off to the side and get somebody else in there for more reps. I would say UNC is in a bit of a panic right now the closer we get to kickoff without an answer from the NCAA. Shane Beamer told Brandon Marcello, one of our national analysts, this morning that he hopes Tez Walker plays. And I agree with him. I think he should be eligible based on the information that we have about his transfer. Now, whether he plays, I don't know. Whether Juice Wells plays, I'm not sure either. We're going just by what Shane said yesterday. Shane said that Juice is going to play and he's ready to go. So we'll see. But getting back to UNC's depth, they're very good at defensive.
Hold on just a second. Let me pause you real quick. I shouldn't have done that. Let me follow up real quick on this Tez Walker. Does North Carolina have any indication of what the hang up is? Because my understanding is when they changed the rule after his transfer was approved.
A couple
so
days
what?
after.
Okay,
Right.
so what are they looking at? Do we know?
None of my sources really know what the NCAA is going to do one way or the other.
Do we ever know?
The two guys at UNC I spoke to said that they're confident that NCAA is going to rule in their favor. They're trying to determine whether or not that year, or I guess 4 months at North Carolina Central, counts against his eligibility. He played in the spring game at that program, but didn't play in an actual game. There's a lot of weird things happening right now. FSU's waiting on an answer. I spoke to a father of a player at Arizona State who his transfer waiver request was denied last week, and his family's all up in arms. So NCAA is kind of picking and choosing right now who to deem eligible and who to, deny. So I think in UNC's case, obviously Tez is going to be one of their top playmakers this season, and if he can't play, then you can probably take 500 to 600 yards off of Drake May's season total.
Yeah, there was a and I don't know where I saw this, but somewhere that apparently this young man, the Walker kid, again, according to his transfer, the information that's available with the transfer, I guess he's got some family things, wanted to be close to home, but I guess there's also some type of information or rumor out there that he had taken an official visit to another school. And I can't remember what school that was. I want to say Rutgers, but I don't know if that's true or not. So, I could understand why there could be the perception that, this is just all hogwash in his transfer forms, but you're getting down to the brass tacks of this here, though, is what is the NCAA's rule? Who gives about where he did or didn't visit? There's nothing that says if you're planning to transfer that you can't visit any schools. That's not the point. The point is, why is he coming home and when was that rule enacted? So that's where I understand those that might say, well, he visited another school, so that makes anything he put in the transfer papers, that makes it a lie. Well, that doesn't really matter. What matters is the rule here, and the rule apparently, based on what they changed after they'd already approved it, should allow him to play football for them. And
it's more or less a family hardship waiver, as you mentioned, JB. I mean, his grandmother and mother have spoken on the record about how much he's helped them since he's been locally. That's why he chose UNC ultimately. But yeah, I've read also that there were other schools outside of the state of North Carolina who were interested, that he was interested in as well. Now that would kind of contradict what he has said about it being a family issue. So NCAA has a decision to make. I do think UNC is going to hear something by the end of this week because, next week is game prep and then it's on.
Yeah, let's be honest. If you're a South Carolina fan, you want to beat North Carolina, but for the sake of college football, having Tez Walker and Juice Wells in this game, that matters. And dang well ABC and those guys are wanting that as well. Okay, all right, back to where we were at. Start with the secondary for North Carolina. I know they lost some guys, and I know they've been a little banged up.
Yeah, they have 2 starters back, 2 guys left for the portal. A 5th guy who was going to play a lot of nickel for them, I believe, is out for the year, or at least he's out for the first half of the season. He got nicked up during fall camp. So they're a little bit thin back there. All of their linebackers are veteran returning starters. I think that's their best position group. I don't think the Gamecocks are going to have a ton of success running the football in that game. So, all the hype and the month-long build-up between Rattler versus Drake May, I very much think this could be a high-scoring game between 2 new offensive coordinators who are going to try to chuck the ball downfield.
If South Carolina is successful, though, in running the football, based on what you know about the Tar Heels defense, what would that tell you about Carolina's offense?
I think the offensive line would be better than all of us expect early in the season, which is a good sign once you get past Firm and go into Athens. Because ultimately, that's the Gamecocks' toughest test, not only of September, but the season. Not only should the offensive line try and play well in that season opener and the home opener the week after that, but then you go to Georgia, guys, where there's 5 to 7 guys on that D-line who are either going to be picked in the 2024 NFL draft or drafts after that. So you're going to really see if this South Carolina offensive line can move anybody in week 3. and week 1 should give us a pretty good glimpse into that room as to who the Gamecock staff really likes at those 5 spots.
Okay, so Chip Lindsey's calling the plays now in Chapel Hill, and this is like his 6th or 7th different location in the last 6 or 7 years, if my math serves me correct here. Brad, what have you learned anything about his offense, what he has installed and is in the middle of installing with Drake May at quarterback versus what system Drake played in prior to with Phil Longo?
Yeah, I'm not buying the Drake May Heisman hype, only because I have UNC finishing 7-5 based on the schedule, based on, games like the Gamecocks where that's a complete toss-up. I don't see Drake May having, a 4,500 yard to 5,000 yard season, because Chip Lindsey's offense is more of a balanced attack. If he goes true Gus Malzahn like he's done the last few years at UCF, then you're going to see UNC running backs get a lot of carries. And Drake May led UNC last season in rushing yards. So May's going to run the ball a little bit too. Now, if I'm in May's camp, I'm telling Chip, take it easy on calling these keepers for me this season, because I'm trying to go top 5 next year, and I'm not trying to get hurt. So I think you're going to see a more or less balanced attack, maybe even run heavier than what we saw under the air raid with Phil Longo. I still think this UNC offense is one of the best offenses the Gamecocks will play this season, probably behind Georgia, Tennessee, maybe one other one. But, Drake May's not going to have some 45 touchdown, 5,000 yard season, because that's not the way Chip Lindsey's offense likes to operate.
Is this fair in this state? I'm going to make a statement. Is this fair if South Carolina, the word stop, Brad, shouldn't really be used anymore. Offense is different, but if they slow or minimize, there you go, the run of North Carolina, if they minimize the run of North Carolina, the run game, and make them throw the football, as crazy as that sounds, they have a really good chance to win.
I like Marcellus Dial and O'Donnell Fortune against UNC's top 2 receivers, especially if Tez Walker is not in the starting lineup. I think the Gamecock secondary is more talented than what UNC has in that receiver room minus Tez Walker. And I do, this is a defense, guys, that didn't give up a ton of explosive plays last season in the passing game. And Drake May was one of the best deep ball throwers in college football. But again, he goes from Phil Longo to Chip Lindsey. Are they going to still, take those shots to the second level? We don't know. Gamecocks pass rush is going to be very important in that game for me. We're going to see the first few possessions for UNC, what the Tar Heels are able to do. And if the edge guys for South Carolina or the interior players can't get any pressure on Drake May, and he has all day, then he's the kind of quarterback who, with precise accuracy, can pick you apart. But I do like Gamecocks corners and those 2-star safeties, DQ Smith, Nicky Minwori, against what UNC's bringing to the table.
Carolina's got a better best linebacker core they've had in a while as well. You mentioned the corner. I'm with you. I had the chance to spend a bunch of time around both O'Donnell Fortune and Marcellus Dial. Those are pretty neat dudes. Marcellus, he's a good kid. He's a funny kid too. Matter of fact, Brad, I asked the little kid, how many picks do you think Marcellus will have this year? And he said 3, and Marcellus said 3. I'm gonna have that many against Georgia. I'll have at least 5.
Yeah, I say 5. Five's my over under too.
Yeah, it was a neat moment to watch those two exchange as he signed some autographs. But I'll ask you this about the secondary. Carolina has a history of producing top tier secondary players that make their way into the NFL. And when you look at this group here, you look at Marcellus, you look at O'Donnell, you look at DQ, and you look at Nicky Minwori, who somehow just got left off of 3 teams that the coaches picked for all SEC preseason. He was an All-American last year, not on that. You look at that group that they returned. They're all South Carolinians. They all mesh pretty well. How do you – we've seen a lot of good ones. How do you summarize that group? Or what is your excitement level for this secondary?
So me and JC had discussion in the spring, and he kind of asked me, of the players I've covered in my career, who would I compare Nicky Minwori to? And I remember Mark Barron, an All-American safety at Alabama. He hits as hard as Mark Barron does. He's a ball hawk. He just plays with reckless abandon when the ball's in the air. And early in his career last year as a freshman, He was more of the, run stopper type. He didn't take as many chances in the secondary. I think Nick's going to have a superstar type season for the Gamecocks. And then Marcellus Dial, we talked about him. He's a guy that has shown up on just dozens of text messages I've received during fall practice about, man, this guy looks like a future NFL cornerback. And the same things were said about Cam Smith and Stephon Gilmore, some of the great corners the Gamecocks have had. Marcellus Dial, he was targeted a lot last season early, but during the second half of the season, especially Clemson, I think he gave up one catch and like 11 targets thrown in his direction. So I don't think teams are going to pick on Marcellus as much as they did last fall.
I'm with you.
That's why I'm taking the under on his interceptions, because I think it's going to be real early in the season that teams are going to be like, just don't throw to that guy.
Yeah.
You lost that receiver.
Hopefully it's trial by error, where they figure that out after game one and go, damn, he picked Dre Makoff twice in that ball game. We're not going to throw it to him anymore. All right.
His 3 picks at Georgia will send a shockwave and everybody will stop throwing to him.
Yeah, Izzy got drafted because of that game. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I will never forget that game. That he had I still can't believe all that happened. All right, Brad, we'll let you run on this one. We're just switching gears and getting on the national side of things. It is week 0. College football, regardless of what you think about the weekend schedule, doesn't matter. It's back. Navy and Notre Dame will lead it off at 2:30. There's a returning Heisman Trophy winner playing at 8 o'clock on the Pac-12 network. Who the hell can watch that? I don't know. I don't think I can. But with it, what are you most paying attention to this weekend? And this is probably the third time I've asked this question this week in 3 days, but you haven't been here for the last 2 days, so I'm going to ask you as well. What will it take, or what is the likelihood in the first month of the season that Sam Hartman could get his name right into the thick of it for the Heisman Trophy?
So speaking of Sam Hartman, yeah, he's going to play Ohio State early this season. He's going to play Clemson, and he plays USC head to head with Caleb Williams. I'm interested on Saturday in seeing how he does against a Navy team that probably gives Notre Dame 4 possessions a half. So Sam Hartman is going to have to play well. This is his first time in 5 years not playing in that zone mesh type offense that Wake Forest runs. I think he's an elite quarterback. I think he's going to show it this season. Right now, I'd put him in that probably second tier of top tier quarterbacks in college football, but I'm going to watch him Saturday. And then there's a 5-star true freshman wide receiver at USC in the nightcap named Zachariah Branch. I think he's going to be one of the best players in college football this fall. Everything coming out of LA from him is like he could be 1,000-yard guy as a true freshman.
All right. And you're going to be tuned into UMass and New Mexico State at 7 on ESPN as well?
I will not be watching that one. I've got a baby due this weekend too. I might not be watching any games.
Oh, that's right,
this might all just be speculation. That's
right. Savannah's due like any day. So now we're like praying that it comes before September 2nd. We're just waiting.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, look, God's good to the Gamecocks. He knows when they play. It's
plenty of time.
Y'all did this perfectly.
Yeah,
hey,
man,
baby's got to be born on week 0. No problem. We got you taken care of. That's awesome. Well, look, we'll continue to monitor you and your family, because that is the big news of the week, truly. And can't wait for all of you to the newborn stage. Brad, you're a better man than I. Well, thank you, man. Enjoy all of it, and congratulations to you and your wife and your family, and prayers with you over the next few days for a safe delivery. And next week, Carolina kicks off. This is going to be a good time of the year for the Crawford family.
JB, Phil, thank you guys, and we'll talk soon.
You got it. There you go, Brad Crawford, 247sports.com. He's got a busy day. I think he's already been on a couple of shows, and I think maybe he might have 1 or 2 more a little bit later on. As well. Good stuff there from Brad Crawford. All right, it is time to step aside, because we should have done that 13 minutes ago, but we weren't going to cut him short. No way. Nope. Jose. Painted garnet and black by a couple of painters. It's letmepaintsomething.com. I had to call Tristan yesterday because I'm the moron that decided to paint my 600 square foot concrete patio and not hire a couple of painters. They're going to paint the inside, so I figured I wouldn't make them make 2 trips. And then naturally I did it, and I said, I have no idea what I'm doing here because I don't know whether I should seal this and not seal this or whatever. So Tristan walked me through it, thank God, and he didn't charge me for the free advice.
I hope he sent you a voicemail a couple of times for not calling him first.
No, I told him. I was like, look, man, I need you to come do the big job. I thought I could handle this, but I'm pretty sure I got tennis elbow from rolling the whole thing. But it's all good. It's all good. But I should have called him, and because they're much better at it than I ever dreamed of being. They are the best of the best. And I know they're – if you need something painted, let's just put it this way. Don't say, well, let me just wait and call these guys. And then, no, go ahead and call them. They are busy. They're booked a few weeks out. It's not going to be overnight. And football's coming, so you're probably thinking about man cave plans and things like that. Maybe you're buying a shed. You're going to make a little man cave in the backyard or something, and you want to do the white and garnet and black walls even potentially, and you put all your Carolina stuff up. They can make that look really good, but you got to call them and get on the list. LetMePaintSomething.com, 803-522-6832. He did tell me that they are about to hire somebody. But if you're still interested, or someone you know is still interested in working for them, you can still reach out and they'll put you on the list, probably interview you. And I don't know what'll happen from there, but make sure you check them out first. We will step aside and be right back. The preferred sign partner of Gamecock Athletics is Signorama Columbia, and they should be yours too. A full-service sign company that handles design, production, install, and service, Signorama Columbia has helped to bring to life the perfect vision for so many all across South Carolina. Owned and operated by proud Gamecock alumni, they can handle all types of signage, including interior and exterior, vehicle graphics, and more. Go to Signorama.com and find the West Columbia location, or call them at 803-407-9284. Bring your brand to life with Signorama Columbia, and go Gamecocks.
Charleston Fitness Equipment is keeping South Carolina in shape. Clients have come from all over the Palmetto State to find that one piece of equipment that they enjoy that keeps them looking and feeling good. Whether it's a home rower, treadmill, elliptical, free weights, a home gym, or something else, Charleston Fitness Equipment keeps the mirror smiling back at you. Get in shape like the Gamecocks do. Visit charlestonfitnessequipment.com. Gamecock owned and operated and proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
If you're in the real estate market in the Low Country or even in the Midlands, please contact me, JB, with Coast to Coast Realty SC. You hear me and see me every day here on Inside the Gamecocks, and it would be an honor to earn your business. I've been around real estate my entire life, as it's somewhat of a family business. I work with an elite team of experts from loans to insurance to closing, and they make my clients and my life very easy. It really is elite. Coast to Coast Realty SC.com is where you can find our staff, and you can always reach out to me here as well. Go Gamecocks.
Coach Joe here, and when I'm not eating average jambalaya or celebrating endless summer in Destin, I like to eat pimento cheese straight off the bucket. And the only pimento cheese I like to eat is from Nana's Porch. It's award-winning. It'll melt in your mouth. It's good on a cracker. It's good in a bowl. It's good on a piece of bread. Also, don't forget Nana's Porch has a hell of a food truck. It's award-winning as well, and they're here for all of your catering needs. So get online, nanasporch.com. It's good. Coach O signing off. Endless summer, go Tiger.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
Welcome back, everybody, inside the Gamecocks, the show. Thanks again to Brad Crawford at 24/7. Only fitting that we have him on our 247th episode today. Yeah, today is the 24/7 episode. And of course, JC's not here. No,
you timed that. That's not a coincidence. That's the mastermind of Mad Dog.
You just happened to, pull in, and it, fate brought me a yes from the guy that it would coordinate with. Thanks, Brad. We appreciate you being available on short notice too, Brad Crawford. Thank you very much.
What is tomorrow? Thursday. We have Perry tomorrow and Power Hour with Mike Morgan as well. So,
what Blind Squirrel asks in the chat box real quick here, JB, because it's something I get laughed at for, even considering.
What did he say? I like Squirrel.
Yeah, I do too. So Blind Squirrel is playing 2 cupcake teams prior to hosting South Carolina, a competitive disadvantage for Georgia. If iron sharpens iron, my dogs don't benefit from a lot of the games on their schedule. No, they're not.
Yeah,
here's the thing. I mean, I even said it last year heading into Georgia. I was like, man, South Carolina's got a shot, just because you got a new defense you're trying to put together after losing all those draft picks, and you haven't played anybody leading into this game really, other than, that Oregon team that they just rolled.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know, Blind Squirrel. It'll be a fight down there in Athens. But we've seen some pretty good daytime fights down in Athens.
Well, it's
with some underrated teams.
Yeah, we just talked about one a minute ago in 2019.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that. So that's an interesting question, because I think that in a perfect world, first of all, you got to take into generally speaking, not necessarily always speaking. Georgia's on a different level right now, so when they play in Athens. Being at home versus being away isn't as big of a difference because they are just so good. But for most programs, being able to play at home would mean a little bit more. So, okay, here, for instance, let's flip that question and ask it about South Carolina. If the Gamecocks were playing 2 cupcakes and then welcoming Georgia to Williams-Brice Stadium, you would feel like they have been able to find a groove. And now they have one of these big, the big dogs walking into the ballpark. If you play a couple of cupcakes and then you go on the road, you don't feel like you're totally prepared for it. So it's a perception thing, right? So I think in a perfect world, if it's a game 3 per his question here, you have a game to kind of get all the kinks worked out where nothing can cost you a ball game. You might have some issues, but you're going to beat them. They're not any good. And you can go in there and you can make some mistakes, but you'll learn from it, and you didn't lose the game because of those mistakes. And then the next week that competition ramps up a little bit and you play somebody a little bit better, maybe a middle of the road type program. And then you get into the big game. So I think it really all comes down to perception and just how good you are. I mean, look, if you're Vanderbilt, you'd rather probably open the season with a couple of cupcakes like they're doing and get some confidence. But, with Georgia, beating the crap out of a couple of teams when you've got 115 5-star players on your roster doesn't really do a whole lot for those guys.
No, so you got to figure they're going to trot out second, third, fourth team in those first couple of weeks, So,
yeah,
maybe your first team's not going to be conditioned to play a full game that South Carolina gives you one.
Yeah,
one can only hope.
Jeremy asked, can y'all not get the Go Tigers off the end of the Nana Sports commercial? That should be outlawed for any Gamecock show. Well, so that's that's the strangest spot I've ever had in 10 years. JC made that on his own, and that is Ed Orgeron as for the LSU Tigers. But we'll probably make sure that that's not playing by next fall when South Carolina plays LSU.
Yeah.
But I hear you. I get the point. I got it.
Yeah, we get it.
Let's see here. Is somebody heading to Athens? Yeah, I mean, it does have I saw the comment from Quantrell about the bar scene. Just don't jaywalk, which is true. Yeah, Athens is. I don't go there anymore. I have no desire to, but it's a pretty fun place. That's for sure. All right, Phil. The entire slate this weekend, as we've pointed out 1,000 times, Navy and Notre Dame at 2:30, followed by UTEP and Jacksonville State at 5:30. By the way, South Carolina plays Jacksonville State this year, so that might be worthy of some folks cutting that game on. By the way, if you're just interested in watching like a good college football game, the line in that game's even. Just kind of a heads up there.
Oh, yeah. So they're expecting something competitive. Yeah, that's good.
That's a Conference USA. That's a conference game in
Yeah.
Conference USA between UTEP and Jacksonville State. So actually, when you look at the whole slate of games this coming Saturday, that might be the best one on TV at 5:30 on the CBS Sports Network. Again, if you're just interested in watching good football, at 7 o'clock on ESPN, you've got UMass and New Mexico State from Las Cruces, Aggie Memorial Stadium. All right. You got Ohio and San Diego State at 7 o'clock on Fox Sports 1. That's from Snapdragon Stadium. What is Snapdragon?
Snapdragon. It's a flower, isn't it? Snapdragons are flowers. Am I right? Somebody let me know in the box. We all know.
Was that what they named the ballpark after, or is that a company?
Oh, you know what? It probably is a company, but who knows? Yeah, because I see that now. Stadium. Hold on. I'm on it. Let's see. Snapdragon.
All right. San Diego State's last-ditch effort to create a Power 5 league with the 4 remaining Pac-4 teams seems to have fallen through, so they'll continue to open the year as part of the Mountain West. But they got Ohio, the Bobcats. It's a 2-point spread. That game could be interesting as well. Hawaii and Vandy that night. I will be watching that game. And Nashville, Tennessee will have Vanderbilt, who I think is going to go to a bowl this year, but that stadium also only seating 27,000 people. Hawaii is not any good. They're terrible, and what they're who only knows what some of the families of that football program have been going through with these wildfires. I mean, I can't imagine that there aren't members of the program who don't have people who've been greatly affected by what's happened out there. So in addition to the fact that Hawaii just isn't good, they're probably going to have some guys with their brains not in Nashville. I will also say this, though. I can't imagine that Hawaii is flying the Warriors into town on Friday morning and then jetting them out after the game on Saturday evening, which is generally what happens no matter what time you end on Saturday night. Even if it takes flying out at 2-3 in the morning to go home, you do it. So Phil, my guess is, especially with the time zone difference and this, that, and the other, they probably are already in town in Nashville, and they'll probably be departing on Sunday. So if you happen to be in Nashville over the next 48 hours, I would be interested to know if any of you see some Hawaiian dancing on the streets, because I would imagine that group of football players is going to, at some point in time, venture their way downtown Nashville, and that seems like it could be a little bit of a chaotic scene with the Hawaiian football program. And
yeah, especially if they win
in Nashville. Well, now that would be a chaotic
really
scene.
Celebrating.
Well, look, if they beat Vandy, I'm the biggest moron
now, look
in the
at how
world.
dirty they got done on the schedule, though. Hawaii, yeah, that's true. And Hawaii, though, they got to turn right back around and host Stanford on Friday. They don't even get a full week for coming, all the way across the world.
Yeah, when you're Hawaii, I mean, I thought that, back when, like Timmy Chang and what was the other guy's name? The other dude that threw for 40,000 yards.
Yeah, what was that kid's name?
Oh man, what was that cat's name? I could see him. Shoot, man. Colt Brennan. There you go, Clint.
Colt Brennan. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They were respectable back then.
Yeah. Shoot, I think they climbed all the way up to like second in the AP poll in one of those years, right?
Did they really? No.
Yeah, Georgia coming in and beating them as an underdog in a bowl game.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
That's wild. I don't know. I mean, I do know. I understand that. That they play in the Mountain West. There is no close trip for them. Like, it doesn't matter. There is no close trip. Everywhere they go, they have to fly. But you would still like to think that they would be better. Like, I have a chance to play. I don't know. Maybe you're an elite player from anywhere along the West Coast. I've got a chance to live for 4 years without having to pay for it in Hawaii. That's pretty neat. If you think about it. I mean, Hawaii's expensive, man. But they just suck. They suck every year. Yeah, they're gonna. Not only are they playing Stanford, a couple of weeks after that, they got to go to Oregon. Dude, think about it. They go to Nashville, Tennessee, Eugene, Oregon, Vegas. Wait, they go to Nashville and Vegas in the same year. How can they not recruit?
I know.
You get to play in Hawaii, not to mention, hey, man, we're going to go to Nashville and Vegas. Oh, my God. They got to go to New Mexico. They got to go to Nevada. And then, and here's the thing. In November 18th, they've got to go to Wyoming. Well, I've been to Laramie, Wyoming in the winter. It ain't warm. And it's high elevation. So that's just a tough draw for the I keep wanting to call them the Rainbows, but the Rainbow Warriors in November. Anyways, why are we talking about Hawaii?
Yeah, well, because they're they're playing against the one SEC team who's firing it up this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sitting here wondering. I JC'd the whole show. All right, San Jose State and Southern Cal at 8 on the Pac-12 network, and then the nightcap 9:00 on the CBS Sports Network. Florida International, Louisiana Tech. That's another Conference USA conference game. La Tech, they are 11-point favorites in that one. So that is the Saturday slate. And remember, the following Thursday is the first day of opening weekend, or week one, if you will. And that is headlined by Florida at Utah at 8:00 on ESPN. But don't forget, on Fox that night, you've also got Nebraska at Minnesota. So a couple of interesting ball games to watch there. So it won't be much of a turnaround until we get into quote unquote the real football season. No shocker with Lance. He's just ready to drink and watch football. Yeah, we understand that. All right.
Let's go.
That's right. Final time out of the afternoon. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome home. That's what the Gamecocks say. And so does the Barn Dough Company, where they can build your dream home starting as low as $160 per square foot. If you live in the Carolinas, Georgia, or Tennessee, their turnkey process takes just 4 to 6 months on average and can be custom designed by size and details. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. That's thebarndominiumco.com. The Barn Dough Company, Gamecock, owned and operated.
Welcome to TravelingCountryClub.com, your modern golf club experience. Hey folks, this is Michael Manus, former Gamecock golfer, inviting you to play more golf with a membership to TravelingCountryClub.com. With over 40 courses across the Carolinas, our membership provides you with an affordable way to enjoy a club-like golf experience. From the mountains to the coast, we offer golf courses that will challenge all types of golfers, no matter your handicap level or level of play. Plus, we offer unique membership benefits not seen anywhere else as part of Traveling Country Club. Tee it up with Traveling Country Club, TravelingCountryClub.com, TravelingCountryClub.com, proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Hey everybody, this is Mo Copper from Carolina Football. The show is painted garnet black every day by a couple of painters. Go to letmepaintsomething.com to check them out. Go Cox.
10% off for military repeat customers or mention the show. Interior, exterior painting, fencing, cabinet staining, concrete painting, popcorn ceiling removal, and more. 803-522-6832. LetMePaintSomething.com.
This crowd, the atmosphere that's going to be in that stadium, ready to explode, just as they do each time their fighting Gamecocks are introduced.
And so this frenzied crowd ready for the kickoff. The rave breaks out in Columbia.
And what you're about to see is a spectacle unto itself. Let's enjoy.
All right. Can't wait. We're almost there, man. The wait is almost over.
Yeah.
Good to see real football this week for what that's worth. But next week is going to be a good time.
Yeah. Certainly cannot wait to for everything involved. And our if you are planning to be at the tailgate next Saturday, it just got spiced up a little bit. We'll have to tell you about that later on this week.
Yeah, we got some big stuff coming up.
Matter of fact, there's
yeah.
I'll just say, here you go. I hate it when people do this to me, so I'm going to do it to every freaking one of you. If you're coming to the tailgate on next Saturday, if you have a ticket, don't be trying to sneak in. They will catch you because they're digital. If you are coming, you're going to be surprised by a couple of things. Matter of fact.
Yeah, it's all sorts of.
Yeah. Couple of people.
It's a fluid situation, let's say, for the tailgate. And yeah. And all of the fluidity is good stuff. Good stuff.
If you
don't want to miss this if you can be there.
If you bought your ticket, if you thought, I'm not going to go and whatever. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Just
okay. Just leave that there.
Somebody's got a wedding planned. You just need to, get sick.
That's right.
Show up to Charlotte. Clint, there will be parking near the tailgate spot. There's parking all around that area. And I would think as early as it gets cranked up, you probably shouldn't have to be too far. You can probably split the difference between the tailgate and the stadium pretty well.
Bring your chairs.
Yeah, and bring chairs, yeah.
Bring your chairs. They're not providing as far as I know, JC's not going to be putting out chairs for everybody, and neither am I. So
no, and I'm only bringing enough for myself.
That's right. Well, I actually thought
my wife, I'll even have one for her, so I'm not that cold-hearted.
Like, I know that I obviously Phil can have a parking spot in there, but I've, of course, as y'all know, chosen not to because we're staying right there, so we're just walking over. But I almost wondered if I should just put my truck in there so I could have kind of a home base, but that would require me moving it after the game, and I don't want to do that.
I'm biting the bullet, I mean, for everybody on that one.
Yeah,
because we're bringing up a third person now, so we'll have the old family truckster with us that has plenty of room for
the old family truck.
The old family truck. You think you hate it now? Wait till you drive it.
Yeah. made pretty good time. Big Wash, how to get a ticket? It is sold out, my man. It is sold out. It's unfortunately, brother. It's they have been promoted for the last month, and if you did not get one, sorry. Maybe the next time that we can do something like this. But
yeah, if you're a TBS member, maybe you could hit the message boards to see if somebody has a conflict and can't come. But that's the only way to get in there now.
That is correct. By the way, Dow Loggins today saying as of now he's planning to call the game from the press box.
Oh.
So there you go.
Okay. Oh, what was it there? D-Lo, what Juju called him.
D-Lo.
Coach D-Lo.
D-Lo. Love it.
Yeah, man.
Perry Orth and who's that other guy? Oh, Mike Morgan. They'll be here tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, some guy named Mike.
That's right. Old Michael. Power Hour. Thursday.
Michael Morgan.
Michael Morgan. Thanks to Brad Crawford for joining us in hour number 1. And as always, thanks to the great Mad Dog Mullinax. Make sure you've downloaded the Chief Sports app. If you've not, then you are put on restriction. You cannot watch or listen to our show anymore.
Put you in
we'll
time
find you. Phil will block you. Make sure that you download the app. Make sure that you download the app. And make sure you share it. We need that as well. For Phil, I'm JB. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 from the Signorama Studios and Built by the Barn Co., part of the Chief Sports Network.